Oh, Keith. Generally, you clean up a little better for the show, but are you ready to get going?
Agree. I forgot what it was. Why does anybody watch us?
Well, the data doesn't support that.
Data confirms nobody does. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Strange New Show. Keith and Mike watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Today, instead of spending 45 minutes debating AI, we are going to talk about Season 3, Episode 9, Terrarium. We are nearing the end of Season 3 already. Mike, how you doing?
Doing great. You know I love the word penultimate, Keith. And that's where we are in the series. I was talking with some of the patrons this week, and you know, they brought up a point that we've kind of circled around, and that's that I think the show, we just kind of, I think we want it to be something, and it wants to be all things, right? And I think that is fair. Like, it's fair for them to want to bounce around and do different things. I don't know that it. I think what we're kind of coming to is that lessens the impact for us, or makes us less compelled to see week to week. Maybe it's other things. I would say that this week is an interesting test of our feelings because, once again, we've tested the neuroplasticity or the elasticity of the tonal shifts of the show. The jokey jokes are, well, this isn't free of quippy jokes, but I think we are much more serious plot points this week. There's an actual, I think, conversation about things, which we will expound upon.
I can't believe people watch us.
Yeah.
Signs point to they don't.
Yeah, well, yeah, I had a fun time watching it this week. I'm really excited, actually very excited about the conversation because I think I liked it. And usually when I like something and we talk about it for an hour and a half, I like it less. So let's see if that continues.
It. Yeah, well, you're a very interesting test case for this episode. Because
I don't know. Yeah.
Because I'm assuming you haven't seen, because you haven't seen all of Next Gen. So you haven't seen the sort of two episodes that are very similar to this in Next Gen. Have you seen? You haven't seen The Enemy. You haven't seen Darmak at Jalad at Tanagra. Have you seen the movie Enemy Mine?
Everybody was talking about that, and
1985.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So this is a fresh situation and story for you.
Yes.
And so that makes you unique in the people watching this. So it will be very interesting to have this discussion.
Yeah.
About the episode, which aired on September 4th, 2025. It was a nice fall day, whereas we are deep in bone-chilling cold here on the East Coast, at least all winter long. My God, what a cold winter it's been.
It's tough, man. It's hard out there.
It's
Get yourself
dark,
some long
it's
johns.
Cold. It's the snowbanks that I've always thought I have the tiniest driveway in all of space. It is barely possible to Tetris two cars into it. You have to really park them so carefully so you can access both. It's such a tiny little, until you shovel that by hand, and they're like, that's a big old driveway.
I have this thing, I don't know about you, I used to hate layering at all, right? I think it's some body dysmorphia and shame issues around layering. But as I've gotten older, I'm more comfortable with layering items on my upper body. But for some reason, because of comfort mostly, I hate layering bottom layers. Like, I don't like long johns all over my underwear and then pants on top of those and then ski pants on top of those.
Pants. No,
pants on pants is tough, and we know that from the theater. It's the worst thing, because then
pants
you're
just
on
pants. No.
but I have succumb. Like this one, it is hard out there for your leggies. You know what I'm saying? Like 10
hard
minutes
out there for a pimp. It's also hard out there for yo leggies.
and everything below your belly button. 10 minutes walking the dog, you're like, everything is an icicle, and I'm worried it ain't coming back.
I hope it comes back out for spring.
Yeah. There's no spring forward here. It's just retreat for winter and disappear.
Your button was an outie, now it's an innie. Yep. There it is. All right. So, but when this episode aired, we were back in a warmer time, simpler time, September. The top song continued.
Everybody's football team was still in it.
Not the Giants. We were toast. You know what? We were bopping around, killing some demons.
Still?
And singing, yeah.
Up, my anus up into my throat. We're in trouble, folks.
We're not starting over a third time. My golly.
That was what you were talking about, wasn't it, before?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I mean, you mean anatomically? I was talking about your butthole. I was talking about your ding dong.
Well, you know what? Like I said, everything's going to the same place, and that's in and up.
You know, we had a long debate about AI, but JD, if you take some of those lyrics, turn them into a song, that's I'm on board. The top movie was The Conjuring: The Last Rites.
I did watch that one.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
You know, The Conjuring, they're all fine. They don't really hold me tremendously, but I've seen them all.
I think Patrick Wilson is always
solid.
Yeah.
Everybody's there is solid. It's all solidly done. And you know, because it's a horror movie saying it's the last of something, of course they're gonna greenlight 2-3 more. So, but there is good news. In the Weekly World News from 20 years ago, we found some biblical cities. We found Sodom, Gomorrah, and Harrah. I don't think that's
Harara.
I'm assuming that's also a biblical city.
Woman really sweats bullets.
I mean, that seems dangerous.
This beauty has plastic surgery to look like Mother Teresa. Photos inside. Man, this really is pretty classic.
Wait, where? Oh, okay. I was thinking that she was the one who was sweating bullets. I'm like,
Secret Life of Penguins, dry martinis and hot tubs. What? You know what? Well done, Weekly World News.
Yeah, well
That's
done.
what we needed.
Well done. That's how we should be spending our winter.
We missed our calling. That was somebody's job to just say those things out loud.
Why is that not our job?
Well, you know, in an indirect way.
Do you think we should reboot? How much would it cost to get the rights to reboot Weekly World News?
Oh, I can't imagine anything, right?
I'm sure somebody still owns the copyright.
Do you think they're still publishing? They might be.
No, they're not. That's why we have to do it from 20 years ago.
We'll look into that.
Okay, somebody. Just like a small, photocopy version we send out to the
zine.
Friends. Like a zine, yes, exactly. Oh, you know what? We were supposed to write an article for a zine, and we forgot.
We sure were. Well,
6
this
months
is our
ago.
official on the internet apology.
That's official on the internet, remembering that I said I was going to do that.
Yeah, that's okay. I forgot.
To be fair, they didn't follow up, so
No.
obviously we weren't they weren't waiting on us.
No.
Anyway.
I don't know if you've ever subscribed to a zine. I have a couple of music things back in the day. They might not have published the next episode yet. Zines are a long form in many ways. They take a long time to gestate and write.
I mean, we took 6 months off between episodes 8 and 9, so...
I know, which is funny because the whole reason we did this show was we need something new and fresh. And then I was like, let's just wait 6 months.
That was your call, buddy.
It was. You know what? We've each had moments of burnout, and that was mine.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's only one more until we have to wait for season 4. Who knows when that's going to happen?
Who knows?
So this episode, Terrarium, was directed by Andrew Kotz. This is his first episode, or Coates, Coutts, Kotz. First episode as a director, Coots. Although Coots did edit 10 episodes of Strange New Worlds. It was written by Adam B. McElroy, who last wrote on What is Starfleet? And I think I mentioned it before, but because speaking of long-running horror series that I really enjoy, he wrote Halloween 4. So
this is a tough property to edit because there's so much happening, and I imagine there's a lot of special effects you got to wait for, and the edit probably happens very late in the production. So tough show to edit. Weird aspect ratio, a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, I was wondering, because they're no longer working on film, right? Whether it's harder or easier to edit, because I imagine they are able to do a lot more takes. Because it's not super expensive. Every 5 seconds of film costs X amount to develop and put on print and all that kind of stuff.
I think that makes it more complicated, to be honest with you. Making the Sophie's choice between 4 takes and 60 takes, and recognizing now you got to figure out how you want to frame the next shot versus what if we take that take, then we frame it this. Like, it's harder in many ways.
I imagine. Like you have a lot more options, so that's good. But yeah, I'd prefer to have 3 good takes than 30 to sort through.
Yeah, it depends, I guess.
So, you want to know what everybody loves sorting through? A little thing we call... Now Keith, waste your time with what? With trivial trivia.
Oh, I'm so excited for the... I keep waiting for the JSON of the...
for Voyager
to pop in, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on it. I'm building it. Some of the bumpers, like, we have to figure out what the award is called before I can do that.
It's an organic thing.
So it's never going to be fully formed for the pilot. It's merely going to be, the basic structure, and then I have to find some embarrassing audio to pull from you to get to this transition to this.
And there's like this added element of intrigue now that we've done so many shows, like. We have to believe that whatever award we choose early will be 3D modeled and printed for us by the end.
That's true. Hold on, where is it?
Our Alamaremi.
There it is. Oh, right there.
I did want to, for longtime viewers, NJD, to know that I was able to actually super glue everything into perfect working order. So all is well.
Excellent.
With the Alamaremi.
Excellent. It's it is in a place of pride next to this isn't like Korean Tonys and
now
good stuff.
Let me ask you a quick question, Keith, then we proceed. Does the existence of the Alamaremi's and an incredible bumper and just a part of our lives and soul give any hope to having Move Along Home not be in the bottom 5?
I see. For our top 10 bottom 5 episode.
Was its cultural relevance now able to be
see.
lifted?
Are we going to re-examine the cultural relevance of Move Along Home now that the culture has found deeper meaning in it?
Right.
Yeah, I have to tune in. Anyway, trivial trivia. So, we get a name check of Captain Decker from the USS Constellation. This is most likely Matt Decker, who appears in the Doomsday Machine in 1967, in which he is now a Commodore, and he sacrifices his life to try and stop a world-killer machine before it reaches an inhabited planet. Spoiler alert. But also...
I went to high school with a Matt Decker.
Did you?
Who was a book writer for musicals, Keith.
Really?
Yeah, he's writing the La La Land musical book.
Oh, why am I not doing that?
I don't know.
But there's a lot of things that I should be doing. But in the motion picture, isn't that Decker as well?
Yeah.
Decker. But it's not Matt Decker. It's just Decker. There's no yeah. I was wondering, is that supposed to, it can't be the same Decker because
isn't Decker also in
killed.
Blade Runner?
Oh, I don't know. Possibly.
What are we doing? I'm sorry.
Sounds Blade Runner-y. And I believe that the character of Decker from the original or the motion picture, in that development, they thought they were going to name Riker Decker as well. Really big on the name Decker. So there you go.
I barely know her.
The first episode. This is the first episode to show the Metrons since the episode Arena, in which they pitted Kirk against his Gorn counterpart to decide the fate of their ships. And Kirk was able to do what Ortegas didn't do in this episode, which was impress them by sparing the life of his opponent.
But this takes place before that, right?
This takes place before that.
My understanding is that's that line where they're like, well, we need a tie break, basically.
Right, we're going to have to, investigate this further, as well as the dangling chat of, we're going to have to reset your feelings about the Gorn or your experiences of the Gorn, which I think is why we don't spend much time with the Gorn on, next-gen stuff moving forward. Pretty powerful that they're able to, change an entire civilization's perspective on another civilization, especially one as impactful as the Gorn.
Actually, it's a very clever way to amnesia somebody, but just surgical amnesia. And I was going to make a point about, well, we talk about the whole thing as we go along. So I was going to make a point about how I thought that was an interesting choice, because why, right? It's more meaningful if she remembers the certain. Then I recall, they can't ruin the fact that she can't go then be an ambassador for the Gorn, moving forward, right? We have to still fear them and think that they're unpredictable and that they can't be changed and blah, 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 right?
Well, and
it's sort of like a reversed retcon kind of thing.
Well, the retconning of it all, is... This is why Strange New World is hamstrung by canon. Because, we still have to maintain Kirk's knowledge of the Gorn in the Arena, right? It has to be reasonable that this is his understanding of the Gorn, and right now we know way more about the Gorn than Kirk does in the Arena. So I think we might be setting up sort of a memory wipe on our understanding of the Gorn before we hand it off.
I have feelings about that, but we'll talk about them.
Yeah, fair enough. So the plot of this episode is similar, as we mentioned, to the next-gen episode, The Enemy, the Star Trek Enterprise episode Dawn, as well as the 1985 science fiction Enemy Mine. That was Lou Gossett Jr., I think. And Dennis Quaid, yes. So, yeah, very similar to Enemy Mine. Which it already sort of was, but this aggressively so. So, interesting. At the end of this episode,
that's as a plot. Two opposing sides are shipwrecked somewhere together and must find a way to communicate and see if they can. I mean, it's not like a radical plot device.
No, and it's. No, it is pretty straightforward. I like this story. I like the basic idea of this story.
So you don't have strong feelings like when they ripped off Aliens kind of vibe.
Well, I don't think Enemy Mine is Aliens, right? And it's more of a setup. It is. So this references the episode The Enemy, which is not the Damrak and Jalad at Tanagra one, which I think is also pretty similar. We have a very similar structure to this. But this is Geordi and a Romulan trapped on a planet having a very similar situation. So this is a basic story that has been told endlessly on Star Trek. So what I'm looking for in this episode is okay, we have this basic story. We've told the story many times before. It's been told in sci-fi many times before. What new do you have to say by doing this story arc, right? Same arc, same story. What's new in this? What are we going to learn about the characters? What is the philosophical idea that we haven't explored in the 6 other times we've told this story? What is it?
Okay.
Stay tuned. Let's find out. So, At the end of the episode, the Metrons suggest they need more data to determine if the humans and the Gorn would ever find peace, foreshadowing the events of Arena 6 years later. And 50, 60-something years in our past. Our guest stars this week are Alex Kapp as the Enterprise computer, Warren Shearer as the Gorn, and Dariush Zadeh as the Metron. But also I wanted to dig a little deeper and give credit to the Gorn puppeteer. Because this was a practical Gorn as opposed to the digital one, and I thought we were better off for it. And the puppeteer for this was David Monzingo. So well done to that. Glad to see the practical effects of the puppet. I'd love myself a puppet if it looks good. And there's ways to do it, and I thought it did look pretty good. You want to know who looks good, whether they're CGI, whether they're puppeted, or otherwise maintained.
That would be our patrons.
Yeah.
You can join the team. I'll say it up front so I don't get trapped, because it's very fast. At patreon.com/KandM. You get to watch me watch all the shows. You're going to get to watch me watch Voyager. You're going to get to, I haven't told Keith this yet, but the Geekly crew is going to get together and do a night of Jackbox games that our patrons can play with us. So it's going to be awesome.
I don't think I was told that Geekly was even returning. I just got the invite. Like, be here at this time.
You know what? This is how sometimes you got to do things with Keith. You can tell that I've learned.
Mike knows me far too well.
Agree. Here are our patrons. They are, of course, the captains: Brian Kimball Biersick, Quarks Bar, Jamie Lubin, Jason Moe, Deborah, Peter Bank, Holmes, FCast17. Then we have the commanders: Joshua Cronin, DC, Anton Thies, and Mike. Lieutenants: Andrew Hayes, Allen, The Mysterious Household, Wars, Big Old Boot Shivs, Charles Babbage, John Kelly, Keith Blank, Casey Alexander, Harry Pothead, Carl Fisher, Alan Gerton, Deborah Scott, Trent, Otis Bucket, Goo Babies, Peter Howell, The Ensigns, Lost Emu, Scotty B, Merritt Neath, Hardly, Broke It, Composer, Byron Woosley, I, Sausage Yum, Ben B, Bob, Miles Davis, Jamie Rubin, April H, Josephino, John K, Brian from Video Game Trap by Nikolai Lobach, YouTube's viewer, Hybridation Pad, Miri Holcomb, Rogue Knight, Makashonaga, so many, Maynard, Gibson, Hubbard, H, Sanjil, Aroha, Robethical, no, NCC, Folian, Kevin, Ryan, Old, Kelly, Fatura, everybody. Jenny. You can join the team at patreon.com/KandM. Don't forget the Patreon Hall of Fame.
Every week we're gonna speed that up.
Casey Clark, Brian, Jason, Josh, Ann, Worf, Colin, Quark, Peter, CRM, Jennifer Massanova, Kyle Lover 69, Charles Babbage, Kevin Miles, Frank Ringe, Brian Kilber, Beersuck, JD, Ryan Chesley, Jan Bay, Anton Thies, Merritt Neath, Jamie Lubin, Mike, Nikolai Ivanovich, Lobachevsky, Alan, and Carl Fisher. They are the few, the proud, the Hall of Famers. More to come. Thank you so much. You can join the team, patreon.com/KandM. To the screening room we go. I won't give it away, but I am. All right, let's just roll. Woo. Oh, that makes me laugh. That really makes me laugh. I was afraid it was going to be too
slow?
Yeah, too slow. Oh, yeah, there's another
Too
button.
dark, maybe.
Yeah. We begin with a very lengthy... First, before you start to scroll, listen, guys, I have a thing.
We've heard a lot about it this week.
You know how, like, on HBO Max or streaming devices or whatnot, you can skip the trailers that come before the property? We need to be able to skip the previously on, because I know the previously on, and it spoiled some good plot surprises. It was spoilery. Like, now I knew what we were gonna do. I knew it was her. I knew it was gonna be I knew she was gonna meet a Gorn, which I wouldn't have known on the planet, because they told me about the recap was all about her and her experiences with the Gorn. And
yeah, fair enough.
Not that big surprise would have, but it just seems to neuter the artistic. Like, we get it. We know what happened.
I'm firmly with you. Like, you know how I feel about spoilers?
Yeah, it just seems weird. Like, or it's not. I can understand, like, over the seasons, right? Like, we're starting season 4, but it's just been a couple episodes. We know that she's got. Okay. That said, there hasn't been a ton of Ortegas focus this season, so I can understand that perhaps. Anyway, we start with Erica Ortegas. She's recording a personal log. The Enterprise is entering a region that is sort of like Bermuda Triangle-y. less charted space. It's more ghost tales at the campfire in space. We see some memorabilia on her shelf. We see a picture of her younger brother, some flight stuff. She's clearly the pilot.
She flies the ship, I believe.
She flies the ship, yeah. And so we see the tent poles of her family and flying are her sort of things. Then we find out that in the science lab that we're studying these violent monster gravity waves, and they have been effing up our probes, basically. So we can't do an automatic flight. We need to strip down the ship and send in a manned... She gonna go in, is what we're saying. And there's a funny quip here, and I'm not always a huge fan of how much quips she does, but she has a great one here with Spock. And she's saying that he can't come basically because he's too buff. She says, and you, Mr. Spock, are too many ounces.
Well, and this is one where like it all goes by pretty fast. So I had some questions that got answered by watching this setup again, such as why she had to go alone. It's because with all of these gravity well issues, they had to strip it down and be as light as humanly possible, which is why Spock couldn't go along, but also why they there was practically nothing on the shuttle to help her, because they had taken down everything that basically wasn't bolted down to make weight.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll get to it shortly, she even is barely has viewfinder or whatever, or sensors and whatnot. She's kind of really flying it based on
like for whatever reason she had to fly by sensors only. Which I wasn't entirely sure why, but
because she got to be alone, which is always one of those things where like you should never be alone. But they techno babble it enough that I believe that it's not nonsensical. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think she might be quipping in that picture?
Oh, she got a quip. Oh, she quipping. She's on the Archimedes, Keith. She's flying solo. She uses some old fighter pilot jargon. Let's light this candle. And she is flying, I believe, if I wrote it down correctly, by gravitational distortion rather than visual reference, which is cool. Reinforcing once again her awesome ability. And there's a cool beat here where Pike has a bit of, it just like shows a little bit of jealousy, right? Which I always think is cool. Like his swashbuckling Top Gunniness is somewhat stifled by the captain's chair.
And there's I'm hoping we got a shot of it, but on her console, which I really loved, was she had like, remember those old video games that were before they could do computer graphics, and before there was literally just like an overlay plastic thing that they had like a scroller, and then you had like the plastic car or whatever going with transparency, that her screen literally had her shuttle there as a transparency thing over, like, it looked like a 1978 video game, and I thought that was a nice little detail there.
Much like in referencing our favorite shows, Keith, a wormhole forms kind of out of nowhere, directly in Ortega's flight path. Enterprise sensors detect it, but way too late. She tries to ride the gravitational shear. The shuttle gets pulled in. The hull integrity plummets. There's like a countdown, all kinds of stuff. Her signal disappears from the comms. She does a quippy quip, like it sends out a quick mayday before something. It's a crash or she disappears. And then we cut to the title sequence, which, hey, great tease. Great setup and tease. It's quick.
Totally.
We're out. Great. I like where we're at. There's tension, all kinds of stuff.
Felt the same way. I'm like, okay, great.
She crashes. We see the wreckage. The systems are barely functioning. Navigation is dead. She realizes that she's on some sort of a moon of a gas giant, this unstable orbit. There's all kinds of toxicity in the atmosphere. She records this distress message and attempts to transmit her coordinates. Clearly now we've entered like a survival mode, and we're going to see what she's got.
And this is another thing that, again, I don't know why I didn't like clock all of this, but I was like asking the questions. I had a whole bunch of wormholes for myself, which I solved by rewatching it. And that was
fast. It's very fast.
Why does she have no food or water? Well, it's because we actually see all of her rations were destroyed in the crash.
Yeah, and as she's sifting through, and they kind of quick cut it like a montage, this bit, as she's going through what has survived and what hasn't. And I think that does a disservice to us kind of clocking exactly where we are. But I think the vibe is set that we are in a survival of the fittest kind of thing. And so we have to... and that's not the only ticking clock, right? She's also like, I don't know if we're here in the slides yet, but the shuttle begins to kind of sink into the terrain, and so it's kind of quicksandy. We do this quick cut where we are inventorying supplies. So the rations were destroyed in the crash, so she knows she needs water, which I like that I like competence, right? She knows she needs food, water, shelter. She gets some scavenged components. She builds herself this little working water condenser with she MacGyvers it basically. Right. And I like that it kind of set up that Starfleet gives you these sort of skills, these survivor skills. Right. That's part of the whole training. And, she made herself some water. So at least we know she's not just sitting there hopeless, which I think is pretty cool.
Yep. I mean, it strains credulity a little bit that somehow the food and water rations would be put in a place that could get zapped by something. But, but look, we need to set up the situation. Here we are.
Now, I put this in my notes, Keith. Remind me if I'm wrong, because this is confused me a little bit. Back on Enterprise, and maybe I wrote this wrong, they said something like 2 days, 40 some hours had passed.
Yeah, time has... I don't know exactly when the time passes, but she's down there for multiple days.
And I can't quite... This is kind of a global issue. I can't quite figure out if it's just the sort of speed... Because we set the ticking clock, basically, about needing to get this... This is another plot point. We got to get this vaccine for an entire population of folks,
right.
Like 4,000 folks, and we have to do it for some reason right away. We have a deadline, right? And so we only have a limited window where we can potentially help Erica. The timeline is not that we're losing the opportunity to save Erica. We could stay here and spend as much time as we need, but we got to get this stuff over there.
Right, which is what the... save the vaccines.
Right. It's not like we can transport them to where they need to go, or there's no other option.
You would think that you could put the vaccines in a shuttle, because although maybe they don't have warp shuttles yet.
Maybe.
Because that would make sense.
But this gets laid out in this whole scene, in this act. Pike briefs the senior staff. They have to rendezvous with another Starfleet vessel to deliver the vaccine to a colony facing an outbreak. Thousands of lives are at stake. Uhura detains a faint signal. That's that Mayday, but it's all broken up, so it could be Ortegas, could be not. Spock says it could just be sort of like a signal ghost. And so Pike authorizes yet another ticking time clock for her to put together some sort of a plan to see if it is her on the comms. What I can't tell is whether we are just seeing the same timeline played out slower on the planet, or just in larger chunks than on the ship, so it feels juxtaposed, or if there's some sort of time dilation effect here based on the distance, the wormhole, or the Metrons.
Which there certainly could be.
Yeah. It is not explicitly stated in any way.
Well, and we are to believe that the Metrons are powerful enough to change the time dilation situation here. And with the wormhole of it all, because I'm assuming that the Metrons created the wormhole to put this in, which also might solve the wormhole of why were the rations destroyed. That seems unlikely unless the Metrons made the rations.
Well, what destroyed. They don't, sorry to jump ahead, but what they don't make clear is what pieces on the board the Metrons set, right? We know the general experiment, but we don't know what exactly they what they manipulated to it seems like everything.
Everything. If you take the title of the show, Terrarium, right?
Right.
They're watching them in a fish tank, which would lead me to believe that they are controlling the resources for everybody and the obstacles, and so they are in control of everything.
So I'm going to praise, when we get there, the sort of binary communication setup. I think that's very cool. I think it allows clever for a lot of interpretation and trust and all of these things to develop. However, what it doesn't do is give us the context of how long this Gorn has been down there. visually it's indicated a very long time. If that's
Right.
the case, and this was all set up, this is like a very long view scoped plan.
Right, and how long did they put this poor Gorn on there to survive to set up this situation? Or was there like a, again, if they have the
Was it just
ability
an
to control
opportunity?
time,
Right? Or was it just an opportunity? The Gorn crashes, and they're like, "Oh, this would be a time we want it. This is on our
Right.
scheduled plans of experiments. Now we can enforce it." You know what I mean?
yeah, or just like, oh, we found a Gorn. Well, let's put a human there. See what
Hard
happens.
to know that because, especially from my perspective, I don't know their powers. I have no context. So
And there really isn't much more to it, because I was like, I didn't remember the Metrons or whatever, so I went back and I went to the arena and I watched the part where the Metrons came in, and there's not a heck of a lot more than what we have here. It's basically the same beat. They arrive at the end and say this was an experiment, blah blah blah. I think when Kirk went down and met the Gorn for the first time, he knew he was part of an experiment where Ortegas did not.
it's very
but
Trelane of it all too, right?
it's very
the
Trelane,
parents of
it's
that,
very
that's
Q, it's very like omnipotent species playing with us like bugs. There's a little bit of an encounter in Farpoint at it too, where Q is sort of like testing humanity to figure out whether we were good or evil.
It's interesting how sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that later. So let's get to the meat and potatoes here. She's out looking
The
for
gooey bug center.
Yeah, she's looking for some help. She sees the little blinky light, which we don't really spend too much time with right now. She's doing her. I can't tell how long she's hiking around, but it seems like quite a while. And then she comes upon. We establish the storm. Let me mark right here how just. Because we're going to praise the puppetry and the practical effects, how just bad I think the volume looks in this episode and generally. I think the environmental visual effects are very bad in this episode specifically.
I think that's a recurring criticism for this show. Their volume is not good. Like now, Star Trek has a long history of their planet locations not looking great, right? Because you had especially for like Next Gen, they had Planet Hell, where they basically just had a volume in the back and some rocks, and we just redressed that over and over, and it always looked best. But like early Next Gen, it's very obvious that you're on a soundstage and it's not that great. This is an upgraded version of that, but something they're doing doesn't it's uncanny valley, right? You can really see the seams in the LED net in a way that you don't see on the Star Wars properties. It really is seamless. This is like seam filled.
Yeah, and it's actually it's not okay. So yes, I agree with all that, but it's more. It seems counterintuitive to what the purpose is, right? So, like on a Deep Space Nine, where they do the cave set, let's say,
Right.
Or they shoot on location. When they shoot on location, there's a lot of wide shot because they want to establish, hey, we're on location, right? And so the scale gives the immersion. When they're in the cave set, everything's real close. It's shot in corners. It's well thought out. It's lit in order to
minimize the limitations.
To minimize the limitations of the space, but still give the idea and the sense of scale. Here, they're doing we're on location wide angles, but that only emphasizes, because you can tell that it's someone on a soundstage, it just exacerbates the issue.
Yes.
And creates scale where you shouldn't have it. If they had used the same volume but shot it in close, I think it would mitigate slightly, but it seems counterintuitive.
It's a little bit the seams in the CG.
Yeah.
Where like it's not good enough CG to fight back against the uncanny valley. So it feels like, we have Ortegas in an animated, like she's dropped into a video game, and because they're showing you too much, it's clearly animated.
Now let me state here as we get into it. I find with all of those limitations established, they jump out visually, but I will say that. Could you remind me the actress who plays Erica?
Yes, 1 second. Why do I don't know these off the top of my head
that's
like
fine.
I should.
Regardless, she, and I believe that she uses those pronouns.
She, her pronouns? Yeah. I think so.
Is excellent in this episode, and especially for basically a one-hander.
Melissa Navia.
Okay, Melissa, she gives a really strong performance, and even on those volume episodes, like when she's drawing in the sand, I'm buying it. When she's, MacGyvering, I'm buying it, and then I will sing her praises with the puppetry, with acting with the puppet coming up. So yeah, like the deficiencies are definitely in the special effects, not in the performance thereof. So Uhura's not having a ton of success. She can't 100% confirm that the Mayday is hers, but she's pretty sure. And Spike is like, "Look, just give me some plans."
Spike?
Did I say Spike?
You did.
Oh, well, Pike. Spike is the bone. I saw the Bone Temple. He's Bone Temple. Okay, so she senses that she might have some neighbors. So she sees this this cloaked figure. We see some of the puppetry, and we're intrigued. I think at that point it is revealed that it is a Gorn, and she's a little afraid.
Right, which makes sense.
So Spock's like, "Yo, the wormhole is unstable and shrinking. We can't send a shuttle in." Uhura's like, "I got an idea. Let's basically plug the wormhole with the Enterprise," and blah blah blah, technobabble, and Pike is like, "Yo, cool, run a ton of simulations and prove that it can work." Which
has a chance to work, right?
For someone who's so flying off the handle, that guy loves to just go off half-cocked. He's really asking for a lot of data here.
Yeah, well, it's weird that we spend so much time on it, because we know that they're going to do it. They're going to do the rescue mission. Mm-hmm. We know that he's not going to leave her, and if there's any chance, he's like, "I need 60% chance." We have like the whole thing where she fudges the data, mm-hmm. but like it's not really that necessary.
I believe it's because I think that the writers really felt it necessary to parallel the friendship story that is going to develop on the planet with the Uhura Ortegas friendship and what she did, how much she put on the line for her. I don't know that it's successful because of the problem you brought up last week, Keith, which is we haven't spent enough time with these characters to really to care about the relationships enough for that to be as impactful as I think it would have been.
Right, and I feel like anybody would have done the same thing. It doesn't feel like as big a swing. Yeah, I'll just say this. I think this whole episode would have been improved by not spending any time on Enterprise.
I have similar feelings, yes.
All of it sort of felt like filler. I don't think we learned anything. It was just sort of technobabble and like sort of emotional technobabble. We all knew where it was going. It all felt like just sort of taking up time and filling beats.
100%. Also because they have this weird, they don't want Pike to ever like be wrong, right? He could make the decision like, look, we have to leave the vaccines, and then the mission takes place and he realizes he made the wrong choice. But instead, he makes her go through all this, and he's like, I was going to let you do it anyway. He says it.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's exactly right. By setting up the ticking clock and then not making the ticking clock matter, it makes sort of irrelevant that whole point, and also it means it really didn't have anything to say. Well, there were no choices actually made here.
They choose to make him omnipotent again. Maybe we could have extrapolate some sort of a character thing for Uhura if he never finds out. Yes, they're successful, but he never finds out that she fudged the numbers, right? But instead, he knew all along.
Or he does, or there are consequences.
Maybe, but in having him have known all along, that means he was putting her through some crucible. But why, right? It's not revealed.
Right. And that's the thing. We're not really revealing anything about anyone, either in their decision making or their their execution or whatever it is. It's just sort of stuff happening.
Now, I do enjoy just the science fiction idea of plugging the wormhole. Cool.
Great. We're doing the Dyson sphere again. Like, cool. It's cool.
Sure. Okay. Which I guess would explain, if we take this course of action, why we can't then go transport the vaccine. We can't do both things. I guess there's not, I don't know, whatever. There's reasons.
But if we're going to debate the needs of the many versus the needs of the few, let's debate the needs of the many versus the needs of the few. We didn't do the debate.
Correct.
We just sort of said words and didn't actually say anything.
Now, down on the planet, where the interesting things are actually happening,
yes,
there is the first encounter with the Gorn. It seems like it's going to be a battle. She's expecting a battle, but then it turns out well, I don't know if it's actively saving her from the worm creature or if that's just timing. But regardless, it turns its attention to the more dangerous threat, which is the worm thingy-mabobber. Also, I can't tell. Tell me what you think, Heath. I can't tell if the worm creature is what injured her leg initially, or if she had already been injured, or the Gorn.
I don't think we ever know for sure. My take on it is probably the worm creatures.
Yeah, but then the infection seems like, or that maybe she's been attacked and this is a common occurrence, but she's had enough of the balm or the salve to take care of it, but she's running out, which then once again goes to we've been here a really long time. Ortegas is, okay, you didn't kill me. It shares some of its food with her that she just eats. She raw dogs it.
Could have cooked it. You can make fire.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we notice that there's a bunch of fun stuff in the cave, and she sees that the Gorn has been surviving for a really long time. I think that's where we are on the slides. I don't know if we're kept up.
Yep, I think we're here.
And she does see that, I think she clocks at this point that there is there's some sort of a communicative device that she might be able to hack. And
she saved some of the Gorn tech that she's using to create the force field to keep the worms out, but that there is a communications array that she might be able to repair.
So here's where she proposes her plan, and this is like the third beat of it. He's like, okay, that's a good plan, but now you got to run more diagnostics and prove that the plan has more than a 50% chance of succeeding. And so, of course, she's one or two below, so she brings it up to 61%, and he's like, okay, let's do the plan. By the way, the plan could kill everyone, and he knows that it's less than 50%. So once again, Pike is like, we're rolling the dice, right? It's a little it's more than a little nonsensical on his part, on a lot of their parts, actually. You're right.
It's have something to say, or don't, why are we, it feels like technobabble without a point behind it.
Sure, I think that's letting it off the hook even a little bit. I think it's more, listen, for as many big swings as we think we take, we also have these bullet points these Star Trek bullet points we have to, a weird half-cocked sci-fi plan, a ticking clock, a big choice someone has to make, and then...
But here's the thing. What makes Star Trek is all of those, Star Trekian bullet points, which we got to knock through, the technobabble and the choice and the ticking clock and all those things. But all of those are there to serve an idea that we're trying to work through, something we are trying to say, an ethical quandary, a character flaw, whatever it is. Those are just the ways that you get from point A to the blah, 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 while we explore this idea. And right now, I don't think they're exploring any ideas. They're just they're doing the blah, 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 blah without the reason that you do the blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so in the most important kind of thing, I think, we level set. So we are both... There's no friendship here yet. It's... Distance is replacing the violence that we expect. Gorn's keeping its territory. Ortegas keeps her guard up. There's no trust, but they share exhaustion. They share the limitation of options. This is where she, let's say... Have we skipped where she takes the little communicator thing? Have we passed that already?
No, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's setting up the ability to communicate the agree, disagree. We find out the Gorn can sort of read her mind. Is that sort of what they're saying? And so... Yeah,
she proposes some sort of every time she interprets how it exerts, she thinks it's because they're these war creatures and that they have been studying their prey or whatnot, and she's like, no, not really. We just know about y'all. Her leg's effed up, so she's got to help her with the creams and the salves.
Right.
And then We don't know. It's not that yet. So this is Ortegas when she goes out and she sees they're being watched by some sort of a thing.
Right.
She starts working on the equipment she hacks the communicator device to create what I think is really cool binary.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Yeah.
A really cool binary communication strategy. Now,
Puppet looks great.
The puppet looks great, and I really think the conversation that's had here through both what is said and what is not said subverts expectation. I think Ortegas does an incredible job here speaking for both of them. I think the puppet performance is really compelling. I think her response, her receiving of the performance is really compelling. You learn a lot. I learn a lot about her. You can kind of see her working through her trust issues and understanding. They build so much of a relationship non-verbally here and in such a truncated period of time, but it's done in these what felt like a montage to me. So I couldn't, once again, I get lost as to like what the time frame is here. I think them playing games together, teaching each other their different ways to pass time and strategize, and the fact that the Gorn's really smart and she finds out it's female. All of it worked for me.
And it's this is what I'm most interested in, right?
Yeah,
this is where I think if there were a time dilation here, this would really help, because based on one side can like understand one, but the other one only hears agree and disagree. How are you teaching the rules to chess? Right? Right? How are you teaching the rules of a game when you can only say agree or disagree, unless we play with time, right? And if we have the ability to create all these things, we can create a wormhole. Okay, so let a year take place. You know, do the O'Brien in prison for 27 years. Like, have Ortegas live out a year or two on this planet, and let's build this relationship. Let's actually go from antagonism to trust. Let's do enemy mine, which if we cut out all the other nonsense on the ship that was just filler, set up a time dilation here, let Ortega spend a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, it's sci-fi, and build this relationship more slowly and allow us to really get somewhere and learn something.
Interesting.
I
agree with you. But also, I still think the shortcutting worked. Like, I did interpret it like you said. I thought it was that the Gorn can understand her fine. She just can't. And so now, in that one way, you could teach the person chat with the agree, disagree. You could be done. I mean, it's Helen Keller did it basically in the beginning.
Sure.
You're right. Time was much of a bigger factor there.
I think it's like we're in like 48 hours.
Maybe.
But like I think so.
So yeah, but
it's 48 hours on one side of the wormhole.
So
at most.
Okay, we can adjudicate whether the episode gets credit for this relationship working, or if it's the puppeteering and the performance of what's her name again?
Melissa Navia.
Yeah. So she tries to hack Ortegas tries to hack the communication device and ends up basically pulling the plug, screwing their whole power defense fund, right?
Right. So she's trying to make it work. Whatever, techno. Yes, they end up losing their force field.
Yeah.
To protect them from the bugs.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I think this is where they come up with the plan, right? Or is it too soon for that?
We're about to get. So I think. Yeah. So
no, the flare plan comes later. This is still just like she's still trying to figure out a way to.
She's trying to get the communication to work, but realizes that it's not going to get through. That she needs to create a signal flare to the ship, so her plan is to light the atmosphere on fire.
Right, and she I think they see the storm, and she knows, she's like, oh, we can do it. And then there's a whole thing about like the Gorn doesn't want her to go because maybe it's dying, not because of the infection, but because of something else. And then Ortegas proposes that maybe her people left her behind. There's a bunch of like red herrings.
Well, there's an interesting thing in there that totally gets glossed over, right? learning something about the Gorn, which I think is like the valuable part, is that I think there's an implication there that she was abandoned here and no one is coming to rescue her because they don't rescue the weak, right? That they're like, the minute she became weak, and we saw this before where they blew up a ship that was weaker than the other one. And it's, very much survival of the fittest. The minute you're weak, we put you out on the ice floe. Which would have been an interesting thing to explore here in this episode, because I think that's why she's like, no one's coming to rescue me. I'm not trying to be rescued because no one's gonna save me.
Right. Which then, yeah. And I guess Ortegas is showing the counterpoint. She's like, oh, she's operating under like the greater ideals of humankind or the Federation or whatnot, knowing that. And we don't clock how unrealistic that is, because she's like, well, you can come with me and stay with us. And we will address that later. But there is an interesting counterpoint there, too, Keith. You're right. And it's actually big for the lore, or could have been, because think about, sorry to bring it to Deep Space Nine, but think about when we met those Jem'Hadar that were showing to potentially be resistant to the Ketacell White. And it's the first time, and me as a viewer, where instead of looking at the species as a whole and all of them, and they were portrayed that way too. They follow this orders and
terrifying monolith, right?
And that they all operate the same. There's a uniformity, much like the Borg. Mm-hmm. But then you're shown, oh no, there are individuals, and the individuals can have different motivations and different emotional states and behaviors, and that's what this does here. This is a very, yes, violence first, but that's survival, but shows to be caring, somewhat of a sense of humor, an ability to have camaraderie. You learn, if that's possible, they're just not but they also do establish that she is more of a matured Gorn and not just sort of the young feral ones running about the ship that we met before.
Well, it's this part of it, right, is the most Star Trek-y ideal. Right, because we are, and there's a million parallels when we were kids growing up in the Cold War. All the Russians were like this until you meet an actual that's an individual person. Right. That's all of our enemies. They're all this. They're all that. And to start treating people like individuals with their own identities and choices and all that kind of stuff. That's incredibly Star Trek, right? That's sort of the sort of big ism that we explore over and over again, and I think is the most interesting part of this, is to explore the Gorn as an individual and start to see that the like you said, the broad brush of all X are like this is where we have the most valuable things to tell in the story here. I just wish we'd spent more time on.
So we jam the Enterprise into the wormhole. It's fighting incredible gravitational force, scanning hundreds of moons. We don't have a lot of time. It becomes very clear that we're just not going to have enough time, Keith, to check all the planets. We're just not. We don't know. We're going to need a sign. We just don't know where to look. Yeah.
Going to need a sign.
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
This is them. She's just like, Pike,
more time. Give me more time. Tick, tick, tick.
We reestablished that we're being watched, yada, yada. It's funny how I didn't really even think about that little blinky light as much as I didn't really give two shits.
No, neither did I. And I feel like they could have been much better about letting us know. Like, the Terrarium idea is really interesting, to have a common enemy, a common obstacle with the Gorn, as other than just survival. Hey, I feel like we're being watched. I feel like we're in a cage. What's going on here? Let's work together to figure out how to get out.
Or just one, right? Because we have the environmental threat, right? The storm could blow us up because we shorted the circuit. We have the existential threat, which is the survival. How are we going to survive down here without being rescued? She knows that they're not going to look for her forever. And then we have this third omnipotent, we don't know, question mark that they give us no context for.
We have the injury, the illness, and we have the bugs, and we have, resources.
None of them are fleshed out. Zero. Which is a problem. I do admit. So yeah, we're gonna set the atmosphere on fire. Awesome idea. How are we gonna do that? Well, we're gonna use the jetpack,
Right.
fuel, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's basically. And then the Gorn is like, don't do it, but then she's like, do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's more to it, but I will say
Sort
that
of.
the story is thin and the performances are visceral and sell it. They really sell it. I was on board. I'm gonna just be honest with it, and I just think it's really good. I wish that they had more of a story to tell. Like, it just seems like it's a plot. They're giving us excuses for them to vibe and to be friends, and then, yeah. So here's where I made a proposal, and I'm gonna give the episode credit.
Yes, I was always hoping you'd ask. Wait,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
So, listen, it's very clear that this is an episode set up for obviously we can't bring the Gorn back on the ship and have a roommate. So let's have the Gorn make the heroic sacrifice at the end, right? That's the absolute way that most plots like this are going to end up, right? The Gorn saves her in a sacrifice of altruism, and then like we learned something, blah blah blah. I think the way they actually subvert my expectation there is powerful.
Yes,
So
agreed.
The Gorn, she's about to quit. She realizes that the stakes are too big and it's just like not going to work. And the Gorn's like, no, you can do it. Like it's like a Rocky pump up or whatnot. And so
You can do it.
there is some like, long story short, there is some feigned strife, but ultimately she does it. She lights this candle, which is, we pull it back to lighting the candle. She literally lights the candle after.
Oh, won't you light my candle?
So just when we're about to, what are you staring at? Nothing. You just lit the planet on fire.
You've got the gone hands of my father.
Pike's like, let's get out of here, and then a moon blows up.
Yep.
And so they're like, okay, that's it. So they go down. They're gonna rescue them, and then La'an sees the Gorn, and without thinking or asking any questions, as anyone would do, she lights it up, shoots it dead, and in a gut-wrenching scream, Ortegas realizes that not only she's safe, but that her friend is shot and killed. Would she have done the same thing? Probably. And we beam the hell out of there. All is well.
But wait. This is where we gotta meet the...
Right. Well, but wait, Keith is right. Before we can go, time kind of freezes. So there is a time dilation event. Lex Luthor comes down.
Lex Luthor.
And he nude. And it's these guys.
It's like if Lex Luthor were drag.
Drag Lex Luthor, but he
Drag
was also a
Lex Luthor.
Krypton. He was also from Krypton, right?
And
And he's cold as hell. But he's got a baby face. He's such a little baby face. Anyway, it was all an experiment. They're this species who wanted to see two opposing forces, and would they help each other or would they kill each other? But we didn't get enough data, so I guess we're gonna have to do it with Kirk and the funny Gorn later on.
That's right. We're gonna have to make a foam Gorn.
Now, I will say that if you don't know the thing coming up with, like, I knew he fights, but I didn't put it all together. I still get it. It's like they lay it out. You get it. Oh, it was an experiment under the Terrarium. I get it.
Totally.
Yeah. So, in what I think is a cool little aftermath back on board, instead of Ortegas, and a lesser show, for a character, I think they've kind of shortcutted a lot. I love the way they write this ending here. She could be just pissed and upset and mad or whatnot, but she's not. She's conflicted, which you and I discuss all the time. We like the gray area. She recognizes, look, I would have done the same thing probably.
Sure.
They were both my friends. I have to live with it. I have to sit with that, which is something you and I talk about personally all the time, Keith. Sometimes you just got to sit with the emotions, and I love that. And then they show us, once again, her shelf of equipment, or her things that are important to her. We see the flying, we see her brother, but then we also see the piece of the game signifying this friendship that kind of changes her, what she's been struggling with. So, great outro.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the conclusion of it.
Yeah, sure does.
So
we have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about, and let's do that in a very serious segment we call
Very serious.
Punch that shit!
Punch it, punch it, punch it!
Just punch it, man, just punch it!
Punch it, punch it, punch it!
Let's punch it.
Yo, Adrian!
It's the Punchies!
Wow. Wow.
That's when I was motivated. Yeah. So I think what you're going to hear from us is like, let's give the real answer first. Like everything where when they're being friends on the planet is the best moment. Specifically, I'll say the montage, the playing games montage, and the conversation they have with the binary conversation, and them both being women is not lost on me. I think that they don't hit you over the head with it, but I think the way it affects Ortegas, and that's important because really, I mean, like the important story here is a character story, right? Like she is dealing with all of this trauma, and that trauma could easily become hate and xenophobia and a lot of negatives, a lot of evils, whereas here we see this situation forces upon her some healing perhaps, or some things that make her have to reframe a lot of that potential broad stroking. I'm gonna say goodbye to bye, Jen. Everything's okay? Yeah. How's the girl? Okay, honey. I'll see you tonight. Love you too. End scene. So that one conversation, I think, is the most important part of the episode, and it answers. It's the only thing really, I think, that answers the question you asked. It's like, what are we trying to say, or what does this do? How do we move the needle? And I think the needle that is moved is her character. Now, we can talk about if that means anything and whether that's enough, but I do think she is in a different place. There is an arc of her character because of this episode. That's the best moment for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think, going from her trauma of being, almost bleeding out in a Gorn ship earlier, to building this friendship, I think obviously that's an important character story that she's going on. So for me, I think the best moment is the tragedy at the end. Very Shakespearean, right? Where, as she's being rescued, they just blow away her new friend.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's very Shakespearean, very tragic, very, sort of tried and true, but also still impactful. I think the part that is most interesting about it, despite sort of the obvious tragedy of it, is her recognizing at the end that she would have done the same thing. And I think that there's something that has something interesting to say. That is an interesting piece of this, and her self-awareness, realizing that is what she, because of the knowledge that she had going into it, which was the same knowledge that La'an had, both of them dovetailing trauma with the Gorn, right? Both of them come into this with this huge amount of trauma from the Gorn, which almost makes me think I would have liked this episode to be a La'an episode, because she had long-term childhood trauma with the Gorn, not a single bad incident. That it would have been really interesting to see, like, you are the ones who, like, were gonna eat me as a child. That would have been, I think, the stakes would have been higher. The emotional complexity would have been more. But for the best moment, I think that the tragedy at the end and her acknowledgement that she would have done the same thing.
It's interesting you say that, because just like pacing-wise, we couldn't do that because 4.5 Vulcans, as goofy as it was probably supposed to be a La'an story, because her Vulcanization was a commentary on her.
Sort of.
Yeah. I also really like the tag where it's Uhura helping talk her through this trauma, because they're still really trying to establish this sisterhood thing with them. Let's have the conversation.
Let's do it.
You get some stambles. Hell yeah, they are self-sealing. Here are some
right, so let me start because it happened again.
I feel like I owe you an apology.
No, because let me
Again.
just get out all of my positive vibes first. I for a lot of the shortcomings, and they are legion in this episode. Obviously, we will talk about them more. I still think the meaty, gooey center, the heart and soul of it is the performances, the puppet performance, or the Ortegas performance are grounded, motivated, powerful. Based in a reality I've come to know that you can be wrong about, you can still learn despite what you think you know. Survival and trauma and situations can change everything on a dime. When you're hungry, everything can change. She continues to challenge it throughout. Every time she thinks she's got it figured out, it's the enemy of my enemy, right? And they're like, no,
Right.
We're friends. We got something different. And she kept wanting to try to prove, even despite her experience, she kept trying to prove that her preconceived notion was actually true, and had to eventually come to realize that, like, no, I was wrong. And, well, I was wrong to paint the broad brush. And
Sure.
even at the end, even after she knew it, she still had the conflicting emotions, because knowing and feeling are often very different, as we know, Keith.
Right, sure.
So that really worked for me. And man, it moved me. And you can watch the watch along, patreon.com/KNM. When they shot that Gorn, I had a emotional reaction to that. I did a Mike jaw on the floor scream.
Yeah.
And and when it mattered, and they could have very easily had a tag where she's pissed at La'an. Now we're going to build some beef between them. No, shit, this is the shit, right? So once again, it does the thing where it proves it can do it.
Right.
And so I love all that. And so despite the next portion of my critique, that's going to carry a lot of weight, because good is good, right? Like, good and real is good. And they still only have an hour, and they were able to capture all that despite a couple of shortcomings. Either the writing staff has no confidence, or they are being neutered somewhere along the chain. Like, oh, hey, great draft, but we need to see more Pike. We need a ticking time clock. We need this, and this. Because it just seems like a lot of unforced errors. You're right. We don't need any of the ship stuff. We don't need it. We don't need dramatic tension, because we have plenty down there.
Right.
It's interesting. The conversation is interesting. We don't need to we don't need it. Not only that, the member berries. We don't need it. It neuters the story. The friendship and all of that is organic. It's built through shared strife. Now that you're telling me, it was set up like a play, that's supposed to make me be like, oh, wow. And not only that, but it's also this character from the next gen. It makes it less good. We don't need that.
Or if you're going to do it, make it part of the story, not a happenstance. Like, make the fact that they're being observed part of their interaction, part of the thing that they're working together on.
It's just not cool. Like, it doesn't serve anything. And in my opinion, it's better without it. Like, she's already conflicted. It's not like Ortegas of that character isn't going to go on some grand quest to change the narrative of the Gorn. She got shit to do. She got to fly the ship and stuff. It's just an experience she had. I mean, it's not... They didn't have to, like, fear that, how would Kirk know the blah, like...
It also... Sorry to hop in on your thing, but it neuters the story a little bit.
A lot of it.
Because, like, then there's no real... Like, nobody's responsible for anything that happened. Like La'an killing the Gorn is like, well, it happened because of the setup. It's real, like, none of these things... Everybody's agency is a little bit neutered by it all being curated by somebody else.
Well, that's my other big criticism. As much as I loved everything, I felt like they didn't give the Gorn enough agency. Yes, it saves her in the beginning, gives her some food, but then all of a sudden it's really injured or sick, and it it doesn't help her with the plan. It like maybe she uses some of its equipment, but there was just a better way.
Just sort of sits there for most of it.
There was an opportunity for them to be a team, and it never really felt like they figured out a way to make that happen. Maybe it was a limitation of the puppetry. I don't know. I'm not going to make an excuse. I just felt like the story, the vibes of the story, their performance elevated it past where the plot beats really let it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you can see a bad play, but everybody in it is really good, and you're like, oh, I felt something because they were so real. That's how I felt about it. And like we already talked about, I won't belabor it. The Pike of it all makes zero sense. I mean, it is not even sensical what his motivations are, and the Uhura thing. It's just like somebody told them, no, you have to have them in the story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like the unforced errors. They just almost don't make sense, because the good stuff is good, and you can see where like the storytelling is very sound, but then there are these things that just seem unnecessarily. It just doesn't. Okay. That said, many people, almost everybody, in fact, in the watch long, it wasn't a lot of us, think this is the strongest episode of the season. I don't know that I agree, only that I still think they are better in their more comedic storytelling when it's focused. I still think that, maybe the first episode of the season with the Trelane episode, or the Wedding Bell Blues.
second episode.
I just think that for me was the episode where it felt like whether you liked it or not, they knew the story they were telling, they told it, they were confident, and they're like, we're doing it. And that's what I want. I don't have to like it or hate it, all right? But I want them to be like, this is what we're doing. We're going to go for it, right? And come hell or high water, whatever the stakes, we have an idea, and we're doing it. And I feel like a lot of times they think they are, but that is not what's happening, right? I can't explain it better. Maybe you can be more articulate, but I'm just like, I just feel like we're pulling up short every time. I just feel like you're going into the audition and you're singing great, but you're not giving them your best 16 bars. You know what I mean? It's like every time. It's like, Keith, I know you can sing, man. Why do you keep doing this, like, tune from Annie, Get Your Gun? Like, Skrelt, baby. Sorry for that. It was the deepest of all cuts. Tom Wopat, not much of a singer. That's where I'm going with that.
Well, I think it was a good singer.
Yeah, but my point is, like, that's
not much of a guy,
it's not a role for a singer, really, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Forget it. That has nothing to do with anything that we're saying. I still think if the bell curve is this series, right?
Yeah.
What did I give Wedding Bell Blues?
91.
Yeah. So this, I think is firmly in the 80s. I'll give it an 82.
Yeah, I think. So first off, I was really excited for this to feel like a Star Trek episode. Right? It's definitely, it's a familiar story. We've told the story multiple times before. It was already told before even Next Gen started, right? But two dire enemies marooned together have to find a way to survive, find a way to communicate, find a way to navigate their preconceived notions about each other, and finding common ground and finding an unlikely friendship. Okay, that is a tale as old as time. The compassion of it, we survive not by beating each other, but we survive by collaboration. That is a very beautifully Star Trek idea. I love telling a Star Trek story. This is what I've been calling for all of this, right? Tell a Star Trek story, right? Do some of this. On my first watch, I'm like, okay, great. Yes, we're here. We're in the world again. This is what I want from this show. The problem is they have the what, but they don't seem to have the why. They don't have anything to say. They give us the trappings of the episode that I want, but they forget to have a point. They forget to have they forget to have the moral. They have the story, but not the moral, right? And if you're not really gonna have anything to say on a story that's been told a million times, then it's leftovers, and it's without anything new. Like, there's got to be a reason to tell this story. There's got to be a reason. Like, what are you trying to say? What is the why? And I think this entire series, it's very stylish, it's witty, it's charming, it looks great, but it's a little bit empty-headed. It doesn't really have any ideas. You know, it's that super charming, attractive friend who shows up at the party and charms the pants off of everybody, but there's nothing in the head. And I'm like, don't you have something to say? Don't you want to say something? You just have the trappings of Star Trek with none of the ideas. And it's frustrating because they've built a scenario here to really get into it, and they don't. And it's frustrating in that way. Now, if we hadn't already seen this episode a million times on Star Trek, would this have held more weight? Sure. Is there pieces of it that did work? Yes. But I'm just, it feels like so many missed opportunities. Every episode, especially this season, it's just a missed opportunity. I said last week, it feels like AI slop, right? It has all the pieces, but none of the heart and soul and ideas and intellect that you want from Star Trek. And it's like, you have all the ingredients, but no seed. I don't know what metaphor. My metaphors are gone. It's just a mess right now. But it's like, what am I to take out of this? What is the moral of this story? What is the idea that we're exploring here? Right? Oh, Gorns aren't so bad after all? Okay, that's not enough. Right? That's not enough. And you have this wonderful opportunity to explore this relationship. Like, what does it mean that they're both women? What does it mean? What does the trauma that she faced, how does that inform the situation? Because anybody on the entire crew would have behaved the exact same way that she did. Scared of the Gorn. Oh, it's not trying to kill me. Let's find a way to communicate. How is the trauma that she went through affecting any of this? Right? Drop any cast member, they would have done the exact same thing. Right? This doesn't tell us really anything about Ortegas. Right? The Gorn character doesn't change or grow from Ortegas at all. Like, right from the very beginning, she's not scared of Ortegas. She's not trying to keep her out or lure her in, or just she's sort of like this thing, this sort of benign thing going. Like, there's no story, there's no journey for the Gorn character either. You have a two-hander, but there's only one hand, and the hand is non-specific, right? It being a terrarium doesn't affect the story at all, right? It's an explanation at the end that we didn't need, right? It had nothing to say. It had nothing to say. This episode had nothing to say. And it's very frustrating because you spend all of this time and all of this effort, and you have 10 opportunities to have something to say, and you didn't have anything to say. It's frustrating because it should be good. Like, they forgot what makes Star Trek Star Trek. These are incredibly smart people, right? And and I know from the cast, they're these progressive firebrands of ideas, and I'm so on board, and I want them to teach me something, force me to grow, challenge me, intellectually stimulate me. And you're just sort of cosplaying a property you don't quite understand, and it's frustrating. So all of that said, it has all the trappings that I like, and the performances are good. It had a couple of moments, killing the Gorn at the end was I think the right choice. It was really interesting. I would have loved to have had that have more weight and be more
Well, yeah, because
interesting.
they amnesia her anyway. So it's like, well, not about the Gorn. They amnesia the Metron of it all, right? That's the whole thing.
Well, they said they might.
Right. It's like, I don't know.
You know, like extend that sequence out, or have it way more, or something like the why of it all. Why? Answer the question
Yeah, I mean,
why before
sorry.
you write the episode.
You can give me a number in just a second, but
Yeah.
in an episode where we had more time with them, you're right. She should have been much less. Like she was outpowered by the Gorn, so she had no real option but to submit. She should have been much more obstinate because of her hatred. She should have attacked it. Like she should have kept. We should have seen her have to overcome that in order to befriend it,
Right.
which we didn't have time to do. You're right. Anyway, number
76.
okay.
So, you know,
I'm going to take an opportunity to do this here because I just read it. My sister texted me. Catherine O'Hara died today,
oh, what?
just like an hour ago. That's fresh. It's one of, I have to say, like, as a
From
comedian.
what? What happened?
I didn't get to read it. I just got the headline from my sister on my phone. One of my just favorite comedic actresses, bar none, period. If not the number one. I just think she's just an outstanding talent, and I'm so sorry to hear that. Anyway,
That's horrible.
horrific. Yeah. So sad. Okay. Well, friends. Sorry. Sorry
Wow.
about that. I guess we will see you next time for the season finale. That's like we have this one thread. It's terrible. In my family's, we have this one shared thread. Just me, my brother, and my sister. The three of us don't really like chat very much on that thread. It's mostly just like celebrities who have died, or like an appointment for my mom. So
You should rename the thread "Dead Celebrities and Appointments."
actually, I may do just that. Okay, so there you have it. What did you think of the episode? Let us know.
Yeah, and come to defense. If you feel differently, please. I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings on it. And
Yeah, Kevin
and maybe
Miles.
change,
Kevin
maybe
Miles
change mine.
for sure. And I think JD, if I'm not mistaken, were very high on this episode. So
We're bullish. Yeah.
yeah. So let us know.
Yeah, I mean, like, by all means, override me and make me enjoy this more than I did. Maybe any number of reasons why external that may be causing me to be a
It's
little
tough, you know. It's like it's not that it's great high expectations. It's like you want it to be something, and I think sometimes they get lost in the. It's either I love the idea of like a fresh, bold take, right? That's gonna rub some people the wrong way, but we're doing a fresh, bold take. But then at the same time, it's like we always got to sprinkle some remember berries in there and do something fun with the lore. And you're like, well, no, they don't always. They sometimes clash.
Do a fresh, bold take, or continue the Star Trek that we love. What they chose here is neither. That's
Keith
my
didn't love
beef.
it. Probably the second best episode of the season, but there you have it. We're going to talk about the season finale, which I'm sure. Who knows? I mean, there's no real through line happening, so I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. We're going to find out together next week when we watch the episode New Life and New Civilizations. Let's breathe some new life and new
Will we have
civilizations.
a new mood? Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll see
Not
you
looking
next time on Strange New Show. Keith and Mike, watch Strange New Worlds.
Mike bailed for me.
I'll give you a few. I'll just come up with a few, and you can
Okay.
do them in
great.
real time.
All right.
Keith, is this your favorite Star Trek property?
I'm not saying that.